This is Pirate Island Mission 3, one of the optional levels in Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, an egg-rolling 3D platformer for the Nintendo GameCube. And this is King Klippen, the character that this level centralizes around. You see, the objective is to challenge King Klippen to a race to this flagpole located at the end of the level. Once you win the race, you must wait for Klippen to reach the flagpole himself, so that he can reward you with an Emblem of Courage, a collectible item that is required to beat the game. This level can be classified as an auto-scroller, as no matter how fast you reach the flagpole, the time it takes for Klippen to finish the race does not change. However, in late 2019 and early 2020, an amazing series of events happened that allowed us to break an unsuspecting auto-scroller in a rather unique fashion. Allow me to tell you the story of Pirate Island Mission 3, the race against King Klippen. Let's begin with a tour of Pirate 3. The mission starts on this beach where you will find King Klippen a short walk away from Billy. In order to begin the race, you will need to talk to Klippen and mash through a short series of text boxes. Once the race has begun, you will need to pick up an egg, as this will give Billy a much more agile moveset. This will allow him to move faster by dashing, jump higher by egg bouncing, and quickly change the direction he is travelling in the air by air rolling. You will then exit the beach to the left and go through a couple of blue hoops. From here, you will have to navigate a simple platforming section by crossing the gaps in this boardwalk whilst dodging these slow swinging anchors. Once that's done, you will head through another beach, up some platforms with the help of these green hoops, and then across this rickety bridge. From there, you will traverse down this slide with some pitfalls and up one last hoop to reach the flagpole. This route is also the route that King Klippen will take throughout the race. Despite being an auto-scroller, speedrunners had found two ways to speed up Klippen in Pirate 3. The first time save is regarding these breakable objects littered around the level. You see, when Klippen collides with these objects, he will slow down for a brief moment. In most cases, this wouldn't affect the time that Klippen reaches the flagpole, because when he slows down, Klippen will speed up briefly to catch back up, making no difference to the race. However, there is a single instance where Klippen is actually unable to catch back up completely. These fences before this series of jumps. When Klippen breaks these fences, he doesn't have enough time before he has to make the first jump to speed up completely. This forces Klippen to reach the first jump slightly slower than if the fences were broken. Therefore, you want to break these fences before Klippen reaches them. This only saves a few frames, but it is easy to do. It was also discovered that if you stayed within a certain distance from Klippen when he crosses the rickety bridge before the slide, then you can save an additional second. This is because the bridge can be unloaded if Billy goes too far away from it. Normally, Klippen would run across the bridge if it was loaded. When the bridge is unloaded, Klippen jumps across the gap where the bridge is supposed to be. Running across the bridge is a second faster than jumping across the gap, so speedrunners keep close to Klippen to keep the bridge loaded. And whilst this doesn't save time, runners could make the level a lot easier by egg bouncing off this pipe at the end of the second beach. This egg bounce is then followed up by an air roll to get onto the platform before the flagpole early. With these strategies in mind, speedrunners could complete Pirate 3 with an in-game time of around 64.5 seconds. Without these strategies, a completion of Pirate 3 will result in a mid to high 65 in-game time. A time of around 64 seconds has been the norm from around October of 2013 and would remain the same for many years. However, in 2018, ShadowKnight would be playing Billy offline and would claim to have a completion of Pirate 3 that seemed a little bit off. Shadow believed that he had a time that was a little bit faster than a 64-second completion of the level. However, he was not able to replicate it, and without any concrete proof, this was forgotten about fairly quickly. Shadow's claims would hold some merit later that year, as on the 16th of December 2018, the world record holder at the time, Squid, would have this happen to him live on stream.
What the fuck, I swear I fell down a hole and I lost!
For whatever reason, Klippen displayed some very abnormal behaviour. The main abnormality was the incredible speed that Clippin started travelling. This made Squid panic and ultimately lose the race and kill his speedrun. It would still be unknown why this happened, but on the 24th of December 2019, I would have the same thing happen to me on stream.
What? He just killed himself! Excuse me, what?
Shadow would have some ideas about why Clippin was suddenly speeding up, but the clip of the glitch happening to Squid and myself would then solidify one of Shadow's theories. ShadowKnight immediately went to test his theory, and within a couple of hours, he was able to replicate the glitch. So, what was his theory? Shadow believed that this glitch was caused by this bridge that was mentioned earlier. As Clippin has to make the decision to either jump or run across the bridge depending on what state it's in, Shadow believed that the glitch was caused by a change in the bridge's state when Clippin was deciding on what action to take. And doing so would cause this to happen. By loading the bridge within a small window of time as Clippin is making his approach, Clippin will perform a hybrid of his two actions. He will initially run partway along the bridge and then jump through this hole on the slide. Clippin then reappears and his AI begins to rubber band to the finish. This is likely a failsafe that is triggered when Clippin is uncertain of what action to perform. As Clippin quite literally yeets himself off the level, this trick was named Clippin Yeet amongst the community, and this trick would allow you to beat the level in exactly 1 minute. Luckily, Clippin Yeet was quite generous too, as you actually had around a half-second window to load the bridge. Different runners had different setups, but mine was to wait for Clippin to walk under a certain point of the flag and then walk forward from this spot. Soon after the initial Clippin Yeet discovery, it was found that leaving the breakable rocks at the bottom of the slide intact would actually speed up Clippin Yeet. This was because Clippin would immediately jump from the breakable rocks if he were to break them. This discovery saved an additional second, allowing the level to now become beatable in 59 seconds. The anomaly that Shadow and Squid had encountered was now replicable, and it saved 5 seconds. Going into 2020, Clippin Yeet was the flavour of the month amongst most of the community. It was new, easy to perform, and it was safe to go for in runs. A majority of the active player base at the time would attempt this trick, as you would still get a 64-second completion if you failed Clippin Yeet. Some of the Billy runners have a tendency to watch people play through the game casually on Twitch. Occasionally, these streamers would be talked into learning some of the game's introductory techniques such as sign jumping or gate skips. And during February of 2020, Witherman and Exeloar would discover CapCap.
Did it actually just bounce off that?
Witherman and Exeloar took a liking to CapCap and his community. They were chill, entertaining, and they welcomed speedrunners. Eventually, Witherman and Exeloar would teach CapCap how to perform Clippin Yeet.
Would the little pegs be up?
Nah, you're fine. I don't know. I can just tell. I don't know why I can tell. I just can't.
Oh, I got it! Let's fucking go!
Yes!
Give me a Clippin Yeet. God damn, dude, that's... Fuck you.
This technique would attract the attention of one of CapCap's viewers. His name was vDeadbolt. On the 6th of February, Deadbolt would be doing attempts of Clippin Yeet in a competitive IL session with a friend, and eventually he would score himself a new PB. It took Deadbolt a moment to realise, but his PB was actually a world record, and the thing is, this wasn't a PB by a few milliseconds either. Deadbolt had just achieved a 55.68, almost a 4-second improvement over the previous IL record. Upon seeing the time, the community quickly came to one conclusion: there is a better version of Clippin Yeet. Thanks to our pre-existing knowledge of Clippin Yeet and the IL provided by Deadbolt, the community was able to determine what happened. As Deadbolt was new to the game, his movement was very erratic. This caused him to attempt the setup for Clippin Yeet and then immediately begin to run towards the flagpole instead of confirming if his setup was successful. His setup allowed for Clippin Yeet to work, but his dash backwards unloaded the bridge whilst Clippin was still deciding on what action to take. This caused Clippin to perform another failsafe, which was even faster than Clippin Yeet. Witherman and Exeloar would begin attempts to replicate it, and Witherman would be the first person to witness Clippin's behaviour during this glitch, and it is one of the most bizarre occurrences in Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Exeloar's 100% right with that too. He's going forward enough to load the bridge, then left enough to despawn it. What? What?
Instead of jumping into the pit and dying, Clippin decides to defy all laws of aviation and begin to run through the air down to the bottom of the flagpole platform. This version of Clippin Yeet was appropriately named Super Clippin Yeet, named after the secret egg animal in Pirate 8. Super Clippin Yeet is the outcome if you are to load the bridge and then quickly unload it again in that small window of time where Clippin has to make a decision. Witherman would then go on to set the IL record of the level with a 55:13, confirming that Super Clippin Yeet saves 4.5 seconds. It was to no one's surprise that Super Clippin Yeet was a harder trick to perform than the standard Clippin Yeet. You had to be able to fit in the dash away from the bridge in the small time window, so execution was a lot more important now. The success rate of Super Clippin Yeet would improve from July of 2020 when resident Billy Hatcher runner /dad, Datsun, would find a setup for the trick. This setup was named Clippin for Dads, as even dads who don't have much time to grind Billy can perform it too. What the setup involved was to position the egg at this spot, and Billy on this part of the ground texture far from the egg. When Clippin's feet touch down on the platform, Billy walks towards the egg, picks it up and immediately dashes backwards. This sets up the bridge loading and unloading perfectly. Kosmic would also task the perfect IL of Pirate 3, which would end up as a time of 55:04. What made it perfect was the frame perfect talks with Clippin at the end of the level, and this jump into the emblem. You see, there are 2 frames between Clippin's final text box and the emblem spawning cutscene. In those 2 frames, you can control Billy. So you want to input a jump on the first of these 2 frames to achieve a perfect time. I would be the first to perform a perfect IL of Pirate 3 during a practice session at ESA Winter 2020, but as this was just a screenshot, it was never submitted. However, I would replicate it a few months later on stream.
We got it!
MonkeySMB would also achieve a perfect Pirate 3 at the end of 2020, with Realmim and GiantClam also getting one in 2021. In full game runs, runners would initiate the race by walking in front of Clippin before talking to him. This ended up being faster as Clippin turned slower than Billy could move. This was also repeated at the flagpole to save some time at the end too. And that is the story of how an unsuspecting bridge allowed a penguin to achieve its dream of flying in an unsuspecting auto-scroller. Whilst the story of Clippin Yeet isn't a long one, it is one that has always stuck with me. From the bizarre behaviours to the mystery of the original glitch. I love how someone like vDeadbolt was able to accidentally encounter Super Clippin Yeet, as it goes to show how anyone can find ways to save time in speedrunning. But before I go, I bet some of you were curious about the other race levels. You see, Pirate 3 is not the only race level in Billy Hatcher. You can also race Queen Ravish in Blizzard 6, King Biboo in Sand 8, and Champion Runny in Dino 7. Unfortunately, these levels still remain as unbroken auto-scrollers. To our current knowledge, there are no objects similar to the bridge that these racers interact with, so as it stands, Ravish, Biboo, and even Runny Yeet remain to be unseen in the game. But I remain positive, who knows what we will find in the future. Either way, this has been the story of Super Clippin Yeet, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg's most bizarre glitch. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this very soon. This video was made to test the waters for bigger things to come, so please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and leave a comment. Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Kyrrone for live Billy Hatcher stuff and general speedrunning shenanigans. Share this video around, as I would love more people to know about this game and the stories I have to tell. If you wish to react to this video, feel free to do so. I want to give a big shout out to the people who were featured in this video, such as Squid, ShadowKnight, Exeloar, Witherman, CapCap, Deadbolt, Kosmic, and Datsun, as without them, this story wouldn't be complete. Also, a big shout out to Tharixer who gave me advice on making this video, and thank you to ChristianRoyle who helped me with the planning of the script and the audio work. I will see you next time.